The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody. This is Ron Elliott with Integrated Business Group. For those of you that are on the meeting right now, we're going to hold tight here for just a minute or two to get a few more of our people on the webinar, and we'll start it here in a couple minutes. All right, so we're going to get started. Once again, this is Ron Elliott with Integrated Business Group. We'd like to welcome all our customers for this monthly webinar session that we have. Today we're going to be showing you Jet Reports, and Mike Hoffman is from Jet Reports, and he'll be doing the presentation. So we're going to turn it over to Mike. Mike, go ahead.
Awesome. Thanks, Ron, and thanks everybody for being here. Looking forward to kind of showing you what Jet brings to the table in terms of reporting, specifically out of Dynamics platforms and Dynamics GP. And so we're going to be taking questions kind of at the end of the webinar. So feel free to type those into the window pane over there. And then there is a button up at the top that allows you to minimize that screen. But and I also want to thank Integrated Business Group, valued partner of Jet Reports. So thanks for having us here today. Really, we're going to be kind of illuminating why Jet has been selected as really the answer for Dynamics GP reporting. And so our agenda today really revolves around two pieces. The main piece is around our partnership with Microsoft and the Dynamics GP channel to create a free out-of-the-box reporting tool for Dynamics GP. It was released a couple of years ago. It's been very successful. And so what we're doing now is we're kind of educating the community on the things that it can do, especially in comparison to Management Reporter, or maybe some folks are still, I know there's kind of a lot of folks still kind of on FRX. And so as you're moving to new systems and upgrading and kind of moving that direction, Jet really can provide a seamless transition into Excel-based reporting. And so that's really kind of the focus. A lot of the demo today is going to be centered around financial reporting, but I will show basically how to do some ad hoc analysis as well. And so near the end, I'll also talk about some of the offerings around our paid solutions and really what the differences are between the free and the paid versions. And so a little bit about Jet Reports. As a company, we've been around since 2002. We have over 11,000 companies that use us all over the world, and we've always been financial reporting in Excel. So the reason any of this is important for you is you've made an investment into a Dynamics platform. And so really, I just want you to know you're working with a company that has strong history, very strong roadmap into the future. We have solutions built for all of their ERPs, and we're positioned very well to support all of their communities well into the future. So in terms of who we are, again, that's what's important for you. I'm headquartered here in Portland, Oregon, but we do have offices all over the world. And what that means is we have a wealth of resources who really have run into all types of unique business challenges. So if you work for a company that maybe has lots of travel involved, or maybe you're kind of doing business in other areas of the world, we have resources all over. 14 countries to be exact. And so for us, we serve all types of companies because everybody needs reporting. And so some of the names you'll see on here, you definitely will recognize. We serve companies, large companies like Kodak. Talking Rain is actually the third largest beverage provider behind Coke and Pepsi. But we also have much smaller companies, cities, kind of government entities. We had a potato farm with like 4 employees sign up the other day. So just know it's all about scalability and ease of transition. And what that means is no matter where you start, if you start with Jet Express or you start with one of the paid versions, all of the reports that you create, all of the time and effort and energy you take in learning transitions directly into the platforms all the way up to a true BI platform that we offer. And so that's really who we are. I'm going to hop into a demo, some of the things that I want to start with. One is just really a brief introduction into, what this Excel add-in actually looks like. And so if I open up, an Excel file, basically once the solution is installed, it just bolts into the user's Excel right here at the top. And so in terms of how we're connecting to the data, I'm just connected to Dynamics GP here, but you can connect to your database. Mine's a sample database, and then all of your companies would be listed right here as well. And so there are kind of 2 different ways to build reports in Jet Express. One is using what's properly coined the general ledger function, which I'll start off with. And then the other is called the table builder. And what the table builder is it's basically ad hoc analysis on the fly. So it reads every single table, field, and view inside of Dynamics GP. And so when you download the software, with the help of Integrated Business Group or kind of on your own, I would suggest having, some technical folks kind of walk you through that, because there are about 25 out of the box pre-built reports with Jet Express. And so to get those to work, there's basically just need to install some of our custom SQL views. And so having kind of a technical person walk you through that, or your partner, is definitely the best way to go. But I'm going to start off by building something from scratch using the GL function. And what the GL function does is it really just gives me access to fast financials. So let me pop down here. And this is not including any of the training videos online. After I build this report, I'm going to show you where those training videos are. I'm going to show you how to download the software, what versions it's compatible with, all that good stuff. But this is a report I get asked for pretty often. And really what it is the question that I get is, I'd like to see a report, but I'd like to see it broken out by one of my account segment codes. So whether it's segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, and, I want basically that information sliced across a different, its own workbook within this sheet, or its own sheet within this workbook. And so what I'll do is basically just answer a set of questions to give me that outcome. So you'll recognize the rows and columns from Management Reporter, but really what it's saying is, where do I want the information returned? And so in this case, I want to leverage our sheet replicator. And what would I like to see on each sheet is, I'm going to use segment 1, we'll call that department. And so I want a new department on their own tabs throughout this workbook. And then below this, you can request any kind of information you want. So we could do a P&L, we could do balance sheet. I'm going to create a variance report so I can highlight some of the interactions between Jet and Excel. And so I'm going to ask for the account number, the name of the account. We'll do balance, budget, and variance. All right, so same set of questions, right? Where do I want the information returned? In this case, I want the information returned in a row. And so what I'm saying is I want this whole row to communicate with itself. And in this column, I actually want a list of accounts. And so in any report you're building, you're always going to have access to this dropdown where you can view some of the accounts that are in your database. There are some what are called operators down here. So a range operator is just 2 periods. And then all of these are at your disposal. So you could do maybe everything except a certain set of account, or take a couple of different types of account strings and union them together with that and operator. So lots of flexibility. In this case, I want almost like a trial balance. I want all of the accounts for each department. So if I go down to segment 1, we would see all of the department codes. And then I'm simply, instead of picking one, going to cell reference what I've created and take advantage of being in Excel. So really all that I said is, Jet, please look here. Whatever department you see, pull all the accounts from that. I can skip where from here on out. Jet's pretty smart, knows I'm in the same row. Now in this column, I want the actual account name. And again, instead of picking, I'm going to take advantage of being in Excel again, and just give me the name there. Same idea with balance. What would I like to see is the balance for which account? This one right here. And then I'm hard coding in the starting and ending period. You can include unposted activity if you'd like. This will default to false. And then if you have multiple companies, you can see I only have one. But if you have multiple companies, they're going to live right here. So you could actually have multiple companies included in the same report. This is the exact same function for budget. And because of cell referencing, I get to drag this over and simply change what I'm looking for from balance to budget. And you can see now we have this drop down that we didn't have before. So all of your dynamics, or all of your budgets that live inside of GP, are going to show up here. Okay. Variance, pretty straightforward. We're really just kind of subtracting a couple of numbers here. And then I'm going to use Excel to clean it up. We'll actually go ahead and do accounting terms for this too. And so I'm basically done writing this report. I'm going to add in a couple of, they're called JET keywords, but the first row and first column are reserved for those keywords. And so I'm going to hide this row for my end viewers. And then I'm going to auto adjust these columns. So when I refresh this report, I don't have to manually adjust those. And so what we just saw is what's called the designer perspective. With Jet Express, you receive unlimited designers and unlimited viewers. And so a designer is the one who actually builds this. A viewer, or someone who just wants to interact with the report, they simply just can refresh this. And what this does is it queries a live database and then pulls back the live information in the format that you've requested. So we should see 100, 200, 300, and so on its own tab, which we do. So you can see all the formatting held true. All of the information you asked for is there. And so if you wanted to modify this report to maybe include some Excel functionality to say, you know, I only want to see accounts with a balance in them, and then maybe also change the date range. That's the idea of a JET report, is that once you've created the format and kind of the way that you want it to look, you can customize this however you want. And so if I change this to some point in the future, so we'll say this 3-month row, you can see it's already updating the information for me. I know there's more information in Q1 in my sample data, so I'm going to leave that there. And then I'm also going to show you, this is again not included in the training video, so it's not duplication, but it's called a conditional hide. And really what it does is it allows me to use Excel functionality to hide either, I don't know, accounts over a certain amount, or I want to hide accounts that actually have a variance, right? Or only see accounts with a variance. And so what I do is I just say equals if, and we're going to just point to what we're looking at. So if this cell equals 0, I want you to hide it. And if not, I want you to show it. And so it says show because there's actually a value in that cell. But now when I refresh this report, same exact report, but we're only going to see accounts with a balance associated with them. So you can see it's a much cleaner experience. Okay. So in terms of sharing a report like this, it is just Excel. Nothing about Excel changes. And really what you can do is you can file, kind of save this, send it to, you can actually even store it where you might store Excel refreshables today if you're using that in GP. You can store these on kind of shared network folders or shared network drives. And then basically the person who's running the report, they just need security access to view the information. And so since this is a read-only tool, the idea of unlimited viewers is pretty nice because you can send this to folks who maybe just have, rights to your data, but maybe they're not an actual GP user. They can still refresh that information. So that's one example. There's also, actually, I'm going to show you on our website, before I get too far into this, there's 2 more financial examples I want to show, and then I'm going to show also how to use the table builder. But I think it's important to know kind of where this is located. And so this is our website. This is just jetreports.com. And so as you scroll down, you'll see all this wonderful stuff that our marketing teams put together. But for our purposes, if you just go to Jet Express for Excel, and then you can see we have a partnership with both platforms, NAV and GP. We just click on GP. And as you scroll through, what you're going to see is the download section. And we are backwards compatible to version 9. So hopefully you're on that or newer. Also backwards to Microsoft Office 2007. Okay. And so once you click the download now, what it does is it asks for your information, and then you just make sure you give it a good email address. You're not going to get spammed or anything. But once you do, it's going to provide that download for you. Right here is the training section. So installation, this is, I've been fighting with our marketing team to try to get this name changed, but this PDF is important because this is actually how security is kind of defined within Jet, also allowing you to use our sample reports, which are right below down here. So make sure to follow this PDF in this video if you are kind of installing the solution. I know Integrated Business Group definitely can help with that, so ask them if you want some help. And then training videos on the GL function here, and then also single and multi-table reporting off of the table builder, which we haven't seen yet. Here's a zip file of the sample reports, and so it'll give you this kind of nice Rolodex type user interface, and then you'll have everything from a typical balance sheet to AP, AR, if you're kind of doing that type of reporting as well. If you get stuck, obviously, Ron and his team are always available to help. But we also have an online community, and then we do support this solution as well. It's part of our partnership with Microsoft. Okay, so that's kind of, in a nutshell, a brief overview of how to get right to downloading that solution. And so the next example I want to show, this is kind of from one of our training classes, and what it's coined is kind of fast financials. If you notice, that's the theme. And so for us, there's kind of an income statement. We're actually using account categories here. And then there's also a balance sheet where we're just using the actual account strings. And so I know everybody's set up a little bit different. So if you're not using account categories, don't feel like you have to. But I'm just going to show you, once you have the framework of this report down, Jet is actually the easy part. So in this particular cell, or on this sheet, what I've done is I've created a couple of places where I'm hiding information, then I'm showing the date, and then we're doing an actual to budget. So we're just doing a comparison. And so if I open up the GL function, same set of questions. Where do I want the information? I want actually in a cell this time. What would I like to see is the balance, but instead of picking balance, because I've actually written in the word, I can go ahead and cell reference that. Instead of picking account, I'm going to go down to my account category and just let Jet know we're building off of the account categories. And then the starting and ending period are right here, which is going to be the same for both. We'll click OK. So you have your balance there. Now, because of cell referencing again and being kind of already in Excel, I get to just copy and paste this information all the way down the workbook. And then again, because I can, I'm just going to drag and drop this, right? So again, and then this is pretty flexible too, because of the way that it's been built is I can change these categories, and then it will update the numbers for me. I could change the dates, which would update the numbers for me. But as you can see, it's just truly kind of that real drag and drop type environment. So if I change this to maybe my cash category, you can see you can create kind of any type of report off of that. Or if I change the dates, so we're doing kind of a comparison. So if I change that to an 8, all the numbers are updating for me. So pretty slick way to kind of customize any of those reports. Also on the balance sheet side, if I show you kind of how we built this, same idea. I just said in this cell, give me the balance for said account over here for the ending period here. And so same idea, just dragged and dropped this. But again, being in Excel, copy and paste can be our friend. File save as can be our friend. So if we decide we want to do, kind of a 5-year roll, I can just copy this entire column, paste it over, and say, now we're in 2016. And you see all of your numbers update. Okay. So usually the question now is, I have specific financial reports. I have these questions in my head. How do I do kind of groupings, or what if I want, different types of reports and I want to send them out to different people? There's a lot of flexibility in Jet Express. And these are actually management reporter reports. So they might look similar to some of your FRX reports. They might not. But really, in essence, it's really what people are looking for. They want P&Ls, they want forecasts, things of that nature. And so in this particular report, all that we did was a simple kind of copy and paste into Excel and then find and replace with Jet Logic. And so some people, that's what they want. They want purely the exact same report. They just want it in Jet. So, I mean, in short, yeah, you could absolutely do that. And so for us, that was kind of where we started with some people. At the end of the day, being in Excel is going to provide a much more flexible and user-friendly experience. And so in this particular case, what we've done is we built in some, they're called filter parameters. And so in this case, when I refresh this report, instead of going into Management Reporter, changing what company I'm sending it to, or what department, or what location, I can simply change them right here in Excel. And so historically, it was just you could change the fiscal year and the period, but now with Jet, you can actually build all of that in. So any of the questions that the GL is asking of me, I can build in as actually filter options. One other thing I wanted to point out kind of in terms of flexibility, So this is this annual forecast, and one of the questions that I had from looking at this report is the actuals were kind of catching up to budget, and I wondered, well, what if I have a new budget, maybe in August, right? Like a lot of people. What if I want to see how we're kind of rolling into the new year? Well, the answer was that you needed a different report. And so if I go into the design of this, what I want to illuminate is it's kind of coined like a blind spot or a scotoma because people are used to doing things a certain way. And so if I open up this GL function here, we can see, really everything's great. Said in the cell, I want the budget for our date range. We've allowed these to be filter options, so someone can filter on the first and second segment, meaning they could do, kind of anything. But someone just picked the budget. And so again, this could be just as easily cell referenced or built in as an option. Could have even been right below this date range, right? And so if anybody on the call is a part of the budgeting process, I know, and I've seen reports that people just pick a budget. And so that's not necessarily the case with Jet. You can provide a little more flexibility around that kind of reporting. Okay, so and that's kind of the financial examples that I was going to show, at least with Jet Express for now. What I'm going to move to is the table builder, which is the other piece of functionality included in Jet. And so I'm going to show you, this is a customer balance and credit limit report. And so it's pretty nice. It has, conditional formatting and allows me to, maybe I'm Aaron or I'm Paul, and I want to see, where are my customers at, right? What's their balance? What's their credit limit? Where should my focus be? And so there's two pieces to a table builder report. One is kind of the data dump, if you will. And what it is just a table. And then we've summarized it to make it look nice using the pivot functionality in Excel. And so I'm going to show you how to build pretty close to this report, maybe minus some of the conditional formatting for time, using the table builder. And so when I open this up, really what it is it's an enhanced user interface for kind of ad hoc analysis. Now, not everybody's going to use this, but it does give you access to GL information as well. So if you wanted to create pivots off of maybe any of your kind of financial information, you can do that right here also. And there's some sample reports that show you how to do that. In this case, when I click Add Table, you can see it's actually reading all of your GP information. So any data that lives in there, if you have third-party add-ons or any kind of systems outside of GP that are writing information into the system, all of it's going to live here. And so you can see we've added friendly names, so like customers, and then also we've added in some custom SQL views. And what those do, again, kind of back to the original point, is they power the sample reports, but they also provide simpler reporting. So these were built off of feedback from the community over, the last 5 years, I would say. And so we did a customer's balance and credit limit report. So I'm going to grab the customers table. And you can see after I've selected that, it's intuitively guiding me through the process of finishing this report. So I could add a second table. I can choose fields. And so in this case, I'm going to just start kind of choosing some fields down here. And so I'm going to go down to our customer information first, grab the name, and then we'll grab their balance, and then credit limit amount, credit limit type. And let's go ahead, let's add in, we had the salesperson as well. And so you can see it's showing what fields are actually included. I could rename this for reporting purposes, or I can move these around. It's totally up to you. And then once I come back to the customers table, I'm going to add a filter on this as well. And we had a filter on there for the actual sales territory. And so when I use the wildcard placeholder, which is simply the asterisk, and click this box, what it's doing is it's creating what's called a user-defined option. So now when someone's running this report, they have the option to scroll through any of the sales territories. When you click OK, it does ask if you want to save your template. If you click yes, they're simply going to be saved in the file section up here in the future. And what that does is it allows you to create kind of complex relationships between information. And instead of starting from scratch, if you want to change something small, you can actually save it, go back in, make a small modification, and then rerun the report. I'm going to say no because I'm hopefully got this one right. And then when I refresh this, see again, it's asking if I want to change the sales territory. I don't in this case. And then we have the first part of our report. We have that table. And so this could look familiar if someone's used to using Excel refreshable type functionality. The difference here is the user-defined options and then the ability to have that user interface. But for our purposes, I'm just going to summarize this with a pivot table. And we have training online on how to use this if you want. Actually, I'm going to add this as a slicer, right? Salesperson was a slicer. And then under the design, this is just kind of some basic pivot table functionality. I'm going to throw this in the tabular form. And so really outside of the conditional formatting, we have that exact same report we had seen earlier, where we see the customer balance and their credit limit amount right there in one place. And so as you can see, it didn't take kind of any technical expertise. It just took really knowing what information you want to run the analysis on. Okay. So really that is JetExpress in a nutshell. There are a lot of different ways to build reports. So again, working with Integrated Business Group to get up and running is definitely a great way to go. And then also our training videos are online, which I showed you earlier. We support the solution, and we're all here to help, right? And so what I'm going to move to next is really kind of what are the differences between the JetExpress version, which we've seen so far. I haven't done any wizardry or kind of hidden anything. This has all been JetExpress. It's pretty powerful. But I'm going to highlight the differences between this soft solution and what's called Jet Professional. And so Jet Professional really is the full reporting solution in Excel. And really what that means for you is some features become unlocked that we as a company have invested in over the years. And so when we were working with kind of Microsoft on this product, it was funny because we actually improved JetExpress. It was historically not like this, but they were asking for a lot, right? They're asking for kind of everything. Like, well, can you give me the web portal? And, can you give me all of these kind of great features of connecting to different data sources? And so in short, there are some things as a company that we have invested in. And so we can't give everything away for free. We've given a lot, but we couldn't give everything. And so I'm going to highlight what those differences are. So first off, if I go back to, actually, we'll just go to this consolidated report. And so in this report, basically what we've done, we've taken a couple companies and then used Excel to consolidate this information. There are two things that I'm going to show you here that are only included in Jet Professional. One is the one-click drill down. So in JetExpress, you can access transactional information. So there are ways to have that included in the report. If you're looking for the kind of the ease of use of sending this to somebody or viewing this information on the fly, that's what the drill down in Jet Professional does. And so if I click on any of these numbers, what it's going to give me is an interactive window that pulls up first summary level. So it gives me summary level information what table is it coming from, things of that nature. Let me blow this up actually. So it shows me the account, credit and debit amount, and what table it's coming from. But if I want to dive deeper, I can click on these accounts and you can see there's another drill down highlighted here. And really what it does is it gives me the journal entry information. So this is all kind of sales transactions, but same idea with costs, right? And then you can customize this however you want. So if I wanted to drag the originating master up and now I see sales by customer, you have now some roll-ups here, and you can even export any of this data back to Excel to run additional analysis on it. And so you could also customize the columns. Pretty straightforward. But one thing I want to point out about the drill down, if you notice, we're not opening GP. And so as long as someone has access to the data, either via Windows authentication or database authentication, they're going to be able to view this information. Okay, so that was one thing. The other thing is really what we've kind of coined as report options. And you can see that is grayed out here. But when I refresh this report, what that means is instead of changing it within Excel itself, the framework of the report, the viewer is presented with this interactive window that allows them to change this information, on the fly, if you will. So they could change the period. If we'd built in company or budget or any of the account segmentation codes, all of those can be windows that pop up. So for example, if we go back to this booklet of management reporter reports, when I hit refresh, you can see now there are some lookups that are assisting me with choosing, what departments do I actually want, or what locations would I like to include. Okay. So a little more user-friendly, but again, it's something that we've invested in, and so that's something that comes with Jet Professional, kind of the first step up. In addition to kind of those two things, one that I see used pretty often is the snippets button. Think of it as a way to store commonly used logic to start off a report. And so right here, I almost have like a full P&L almost, where I could just drag and drop this information into Excel. Instead of starting from scratch, I'm starting with formulas that I'm used to writing all the time. Okay. And so in terms of licensing, the difference between the two, one is with Jet Express, again, unlimited viewers, unlimited designers. With all of our products, you're always going to get unlimited viewers, and also unlimited company databases. So we don't charge per viewer, we don't charge per company database. Within GP, the only thing that we license is designers. And so what that does is it kind of locks down the security a little bit more, and then provides that simplicity of the viewer when they're interacting with information. They don't even see this design panel. They're not wondering why this functionality is grayed out. They just know I can refresh and I can drill down. Pretty simple for them. And then the ability to connect to additional data sources also becomes unlocked. So Jet Express is designed to only connect to Dynamics GP, but again, it connects to as many company databases as you have. But as you move up in the product ladder, it allows you to now move outside of just GP reporting. So if you have some other systems you want to connect to, you absolutely can. And so that's kind of Jet Professional, kind of at a high level. One also kind of big feature enhancement is around distribution. And so distribution, you can automate the distribution of reports right here in Excel. So if I click the scheduler, I can click new task. I can say, I'd like this report to be ran, once a week, every Monday, and I want it to be sent to maybe SharePoint or a shared network drive. and I actually want the output to just be a PDF. So all of these are available. You do values only workbook, Jet workbook, PDF. It's totally up to you. But it allows you now to almost set it and forget it. And then this will run automatically for you. So you could really, in theory, have all of your month-end financials set up on an automated schedule and sent to you so you can actually do the cross-referencing and checking that you need to do ahead of time instead of waiting for the reports to run first thing in the morning. So there's that. And then also included in Jet Professional is our web portal. And so the web portal, really it's a collaboration and sharing platform. And what it does is it solves the unique challenge of where do I put my reports? And how do I ensure that the right person is kind of seeing only the reports that I want them to see without maybe creating, password protected folders and things of that nature. And so the web portal was kind of born out of customer feedback around those things. And so when I sign into the web portal, what it's going to do is it's going to present me with either reports that I've created or reports that have been shared with me by the creator of that report. So I don't have to go searching and sifting and trying to find, my report. I'm just presented with them. So it actually acts as an additional layer of security in some ways. So if I open up any of these folders, and then I click on one of the reports, what your viewers would see is run and open. That's all that they'll see. As an admin, you get to choose who to share it with. You can move these, delete them obviously, and then under the details tab, as an admin, you're also going to have access to the run history and then also full-on version control. So a lot of times people are looking for the best ways to present information to end users, and being able to have that information stored somewhere else is very helpful. So if I had multiple versions of this report that I've uploaded over time, I could always go back in time, revert to older versions. So if I've made an unfavorable change, I can just revert back to a previous version. And then it also can come in handy in audit season as well, because Jet Professional does include its own database called the service tier. And so it stores these reports as copies outside of your system. So again, the web portal is kind of built for the future. So it does take pressure off of your system. It takes, kind of the burden of running these reports off of you. It also acts as an air traffic controller in terms of navigating a user's rights. So what information do they have access to, and the report itself. And so that can be a huge advantage for an organization who maybe has some locations outside of their main office, but is still wanting a user to get access to information. And so I'll show you what this looks like real quick. This is the report that we had created earlier. If I click run, you see I get that same option I had in Excel, so the sales territory, and then I can run this report. This will query the database for me. And then once it's ran, I'm going to have the option to open it in Excel online or actually download it right onto my local machine. So if I have a laptop or something like that, I can download this report as well. I'm going to show you what it looks like in the web. Okay. So yeah, as you can see, you can still interact with the information. You could print it from here, all that good stuff. So that is Jet Professional, kind of in a nutshell. So as a recap, advanced drill down comes with Jet Professional, automated scheduling distribution, the web portal, kind of drag and drop reporting, and user licensing all kind of comes into play with Jet Professional over Jet Express. Okay, so I talked about scalability a little bit. The part that I'm going to kind of end on and then make sure we have some time for questions is business intelligence. And the reason I'm going to talk about this today is because I got to tell you, whenever the question comes up of what is business intelligence, a lot of times there's 3 or 4 kind of different answers. And so business intelligence really is taking data, so GP data, maybe information from other systems, and taking it through what's called the ETL process, which is really transformation. So we're taking data, we're cleaning it up, we're organizing it, and placing it somewhere, in this case, a data warehouse, which is optimized for reporting and analytics as a whole. And so what that does is now, instead of the end user having to kind of build these relationships or build this information from scratch, they're presented with a very intuitive and user-friendly experience that allows them to get access to information pretty much instantaneously, regardless of where that data is coming from. And so that's kind of the messy part of business intelligence, is the back end, right? The front end of business intelligence is how it looks. So a pretty dashboard or a really nice looking report really is as good as the data behind it. And so we're a back end BI company. Our whole focus is providing value and a strong foundation from which a company can grow and mature. And so this platform we've named Jet Enterprise. It does come with a pre-built Dynamics GP solution, which installs in 2 hours, which is unheard of. But the reason it's pre-built is we have experience with this. We've installed about 1 per day over the last 5 years. And so what that means for you now is, instead of starting from scratch, we actually provide what we've learned over the years day one out of the box. And so when we look into kind of customizing this information, which every business will need, we leverage ETL automation. And so, in short, kind of why that's important for you is we're going to provide deliverables 5 times faster than traditional methodology. That's benchmarked by Gartner. And so what that, in terms of initial investment, comes to is typically 5 times less around the services and implementation, at least during the initial stand-up. And so when we move into this realm, I just wanted to clarify that there are really kind of 2 pieces of business intelligence. One is the data model, and in our case, we're leveraging a data warehouse and cubes. And then how does it look? So the visualization. So Excel is really a visualization tool. We have dashboards in the web that I'll show you here in a second. But that's really what it is there's kind of 2 pieces to that. And so over here in Jet Enterprise, dashboarding becomes unlocked. And you can see I have some loaded up here already. And so if we zoom into any of these dashboards, we're able to see kind of some performance tiles. We can zoom into these visuals and slice the information however we want. So if I swipe through, this looks very, very nice on a tablet as well. So it is optimized for kind of that mobile experience. But these are very kind of straightforward in terms of how to build, because the data model is in place. And just to show you kind of the difference between reporting off of any database, whether it's GP or something else, and a cube, is when I move over to the cubes, and I'll just use a pivot table real quick, and we'll grab, these are the 7 that come out of the box. So finance, inventory, manufacturing, payables, purchase, receivables, and sales. Okay, so those are all out of the box. I'm going to click sales. And so when I'm in a cube environment, and this is a mixture of a couple of different databases, but I don't really have to know what table it's coming from or what field I'd like to pull in. I can just start clicking boxes. And so if I want to create a complex like sales report, I can say sales, costs, profit percent. Profit is a great example of a key performance indicator. I hear that word kind of tossed around a lot. Really what it is, it's a custom calculation that's unique to your business. And so you can build those into the cube. And now instead of having to kind of build that into the report, you're unified corporate-wide because you've built that into the cube. And then those are measures. Cubes are two pieces. Measures are numerical values. Dimensions are what add relevance and context to the information. So if I click item and then maybe see that over time, you can see I've clicked 6 boxes and I have this fully functional sales report. And if you notice, we're not waiting for anything to update. We're not necessarily needing to refresh this information. I can still get down to the transactional level. So I can grab, however many of these, right to the sales invoices. It opens up a new tab. And the reason for that is just the power of Jet Enterprise. That's just what it does. And then you could even do complex calculations like aggregation. So now we're looking at the last 12 months or maybe comparing it to previous months. And so you can see typically someone's building this out already, right? And so like we said, we have a lot of folks who've been on this platform. We know generally what folks are looking for day one. And so all of this is the out-of-the-box project. And I could add slicers here too and create a dashboard here in Excel. So I could say, give me the salesperson and I'd like to start, creating a visual off of this. And the idea is you basically have visuals off of these pivots in Excel, and then you create slicers around the outside. And really what you wind up with is a pretty nice dashboard in Excel. So something like this, where you have all your visuals in one place, you have your slicers around the outside, and it's all built off of those individual charts, and we just copied and pasted. And again, this is one way to visualize the data. The other you saw on the web, we actually love Power BI as well. The reason we love it so much is it is a front-end BI tool. It's a way to visualize information. So when we go on these road shows or we're kind of invited to go speak at various events in the Dynamics community, we're always getting questions about Power BI because there's a lot of information out there, kind of a lot of buzz around Power BI. But again, we love it because it is a great way to visualize information. Typically, when you're in Power BI, the first thing it's going to ask you is where is your data? What we provide is an intuitive model that has more advanced security that now allows you, just like we were doing in Excel, to click boxes and create visuals, create a dashboard. And so we actually have so many customers using this. As you can see, we actually have Power BI dashboards pre-built. So if you have more questions about that, I'm sure Ron would be more than happy to connect you with the appropriate resources. But yeah, I just wanted to illuminate that. I mean, really, you saw BI 3 different ways, really, in a nutshell. So really quick recap, and then we'll take questions. So again, Jet Express, it's built for financial reporting in Excel. Table Builder, those are kind of the 2 features that you get. You saw where to get the training videos and all that good stuff on our website. Jet Professional, it's kind of where we've always been. It is allowing you to basically drag and drop reporting, drill down the web portal, advanced distribution, and kind of enhanced report design. So if you have any grouping reports, like advanced grouping reports, if you're on FRX, there are ways to do it in Jet Express, but just know Jet Professional is also going to be probably the simplest way to convert those reports. Jet Enterprise, we just talked a whole lot about, but I just want you to know it is kind of the both power and low cost leader. But I mean, we were just talking about that, so I think we'll move on from there. And then again, our commitment to Dynamics, the part I want to highlight is budgeting. I've seen it finally for the first time. We've been working on it for over a year. We have a whole team dedicated to this. It will be releasing this fall, sometime around October, I would say. We're really excited about it. We've heard a ton of positive feedback on it. And so as that gets closer, if you're interested in that, just know we've always been here. We always will be. We're listening to the community, and we've been in partnership, really, in terms of direct partnership with Microsoft for GP since 2016. And so one of the things that we're doing through the end of June, we have an exclusive offer on Jet Professional. There's two ways to license the software. One is via subscription, and then the other is via kind of the perpetual licensing model. Subscription now starts at $199 a month. That's for a couple of designers, unlimited viewers. Really fantastic offer. Normally it's almost $300 a month. And then also you can, if you determine perpetual licensing is better for you, there's also $1,000 off through the end of June. So we're mirroring some of the promotions going on from Microsoft. But you can ask Ron and his team, or Jeff, I'm sure I was on the line here, any of those guys, Darren, ask any of them. They're more than happy to help. And so with that, I'm going to leave you with this slide. I'm going to turn it back over to Ron, talk about what they're doing around Jet, and then open it up for questions. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Can you hear me okay, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what we want to do here at IBG is we want to make it as easy as possible for you to try Jet Express. So we're doing this promotion here at $99. And basically what we'll do for you is install Jet Express on the SQL Server plus one workstation. We'll develop a balance sheet financial statement, and that must be one that's in your current FRX or management reporter that you're using, and return results from a single company. If you're interested in taking advantage of that, just contact Jeff or me, and there's a questionnaire that we'll send out that a lot of the questions are for your IT people, just to make sure your workstation and SQL Server have the right requirements so we can install it quickly for you. And we're going to send all this in an email to everybody, so you don't need to write anything down right now at this point. We'll also send the recording link and some other information with it after the broadcast. So there's some couple questions, Mike. I think the first one, I think it had to do with that last report you did in Jet Express on the credit limits.
I see that. Yeah, I'm reading it now. So yeah, the question was, why this window is so small? Can you pull open customer sales transactional type data into the report and age it with subtotals by customer? I mean, in short, if that data exists in GP somewhere, yes. That's the short answer. So we'll read it if it's in there, and you can pull it into the report as long as they have the same customer in common, right? The field commonality. Next question, can existing FRX or MR reports be converted to a Jet report? In short, yeah, I showed a little bit of that. There's not really what we would consider a conversion tool, just because Jet's been around for a long time. We weren't created like MR to specifically replace FRX, so there's not like a conversion tool. But there are ways to move those reports over into Jet. But it's actually the reason we have the pre-built reports, those 25 out-of-the-box ones, to at least give you somewhere to start. One just came in, Jet Express reports, any drill down capability. So you do have access to transactional information. There's not, like when we saw in Jet Professional where I just clicked on a number and it pulled up that interactive window. That is only a feature of the paid versions of Jet. And so in Jet Express, all it is you create maybe a different sheet or kind of a way of looking at the transactional information within the specific report. And some of our sample reports do show you how to do that. good question. Okay. I don't see any other questions.
No,
Okay.
I don't see.
Cool. Well, look at that. Right on the nose. 9 o'clock. My time, anyways. So, thanks for having me, Ron. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, Mike. You did a great job. And once again, everybody, we'll be sending out an email to everybody with these special pricing for Jet and also for installing it for you. And we'll also send the recording out, a link to that, so you can share it with everybody. So thanks again. Of course, if you have questions, just email Jeff or myself, and if we can't answer them, we'll get them to Mike, and he can answer them for us. So thanks, and I hope you have a good day and have a good weekend.
All right. Thanks, everybody.